Hello everyone. In this tutorial, I am going to explain how we are going to create custom Spring Boot starter. As you know, like Spring Boot having a number of pre-built starter that are great for developing applications, but how we are going to create our own starter, that actually I'm going to explain over here. So as you know, like while we are creating any Spring Boot applications, then basically we are include different types of starter for accessing different types of functionalities. Like suppose for example, if we want to uh, use database kind of thing, JPA kind of thing, then we are having this Spring Boot starter data JPA, right? Starter web for web kind of things. So there are a lot of starter actually for logging. There's starter. There are a lot of things actually is available. Lot of starter actually predefined previous starter are available that are basically we are using whenever we are going to create any Spring Boot application. Here basically I am going to explain how we are going to create our own custom Spring Boot starter, so that this custom Spring Boot starter we can use in our application whenever we are going to create any application. So here like we will talk through some process of building a starter from scratch and talking about some of the processes for doing so. Whenever like as a we can say enterprise Java programmer, Spring Boot is so convenient that we can't live without it. Its auto configuration feature allow us to run our application in a few simple steps. Spring Boot basically provides many starter to make our development feature and development feature basically it's simpler. We don't have to worry about complex configurations, class library differences, all those things. If we like take one example for web services as example, then for that basically as a starter dependencies we can use the Spring Boot starter or like maybe Spring Boot starter web. And also in a properties file we can add some server port, so that it whenever we will start our applications, that particular application we can start into this search port. So before going in such detail or before going writing any code, let's understand about the auto configurations, right? So now if we try to understand the principle of Spring Boot auto configuration function, to understand this part we need to have a specific understanding of life cycle of the Spring Bean. Spring Boot uses the enable auto configurations to implement the auto configurations. This annotation basically improves the auto configurations import selection class. So this is basically import by the this enable auto configurations, which actually resolve the Spring factories, which is basically stored in the meta INF. So when all the configuration classes are file are loaded into the memory, so those are basically registered into the Spring Boot container. Then we can access those bean from the container. So I'll show you like how we are going to create our auto configuration classes over here. Okay, and like Spring Boot auto configuration basically attempts to automatically configure your Spring applications based on the jar dependencies that we have added into our class path. For example, if we want to use the H2 databases, if we have added this H2 database into our class path in a POM, then it will automatically create all the things for us. We don't need to do manually all the things. Okay. Now we will see how we are going to create the project, how we are going to create the starter. So let's check out the code. Alright, so for creating the Spring Boot project basically, we can create the project from over here like Spring Boot Spring Initializer. So over here it's provide lot of options like what kind of project basically we need to create, either maybe Gradle or like Maven. So I'm choosing the Maven. As a language also I'm choosing the Java, and the Spring Boot versions is 3.2.4 that I'm going to use over here. And here basically we're going to defining the group like com.javatext and regarding the artifact it will be we need to define the artifact like this will be the actually basically starter name that actually are going to use, so we need to give this artifact name over here. So how we're going to define the artifact? So that can be anything. It's based on your need. So whatever the project, actually I'm going to create this custom starter. So it will basically talk with some external services. So this is the JSON placeholder. So this is basically, it's provide us the mocking data kind of things. It's provide us 3-4 APIs over here. It provides a kind of mocking data, like it's having this kind of services: post, comments, album, photos, to dos, and users. Okay, so these are the basically, as you can see over here, if you click on this, so it will give us this list of to dos. So this service basically we can't access. We are going to create the REST client for this one, and then we can't like access this particular service from our starter. So for that, we can't give such kind of name, meaningful name, so that we can easily understand over here. Okay, so we can say like custom starter. Let's say custom starter. Okay, okay, this is fine. Then here basically we can say dot starter. Okay, as a dependencies, what dependencies basically are going to use over Spring Boot DevTools is fine. And then we are going to use over here like Spring Web, as like we are going to talking about talking with some external services. So we are going to use the REST client. So those REST client will come with this Spring Web. Okay, so that basically we can easily used over here. So now click on the generate, then we can import this project, and then after that we will write the code for this one. Okay, so I have imported that generated project over here. As you can see over here, that custom starter already imported into my Eclipse editor. You guys can use any editor that you feel like. So as this is the like we are going to use this as a starter. So for that basically we don't need this Spring Boot applications over here, right? Because basically it will be behave like a starter class kind of thing. So we can delete these things over here. Also, we are don't going means resources, like we don't need any kind of this properties file over here, because we don't need don't going to use any kind of read properties over here. So we can also delete these things. Let's check the pom.xml. Like basically this is the things that it is for Maven, it's generated like group ID, then custom starter, and all those things over here. So it's having the starter web, dev tools, and the starter test. This build plugin is also not needed over here, so we can clean up these things so that it looks very simple. Okay, all right. Now clean up is architecture where it's ready. Now we are going to write the code actually over here. So how we are going to write this thing? So over here basically the thing is that we are going to talk with this JSON placeholder service, right? As I have shown over here. So this is the service basically we are going to use over here. So this is the URL. So that's why like we are going to defining the properties over here. So how we are going to defining these properties over here? Also, whatever the another like any Spring Boot other application, so whenever our starter is ready, then this particular starter basically used by some other Spring Boot applications. Now when that particular application is going to this starter, so they can also override the properties. So in this way basically we need to define, or we can create our properties. So how we are going to create our properties over here? So let me like create one class. Let's say the name is custom properties. Okay, you can say it's a custom properties over here. So we need to annotate this class with configuration properties. Like what properties basically we need to configuration configuration properties, this one. Here basically we need to define the prefix. What will be the prefix for load this particular properties? So we can provide the path over here, in application properties basically we need to define this, we need to use this one. Okay, so we can say like external dot API. Okay, external, or maybe external API dot, or we can external API is also fine. So over here, like or instead of class, maybe also if we create this one as a record. So how we are going to create this one? Record. Okay, and here basically we need to, instead of that, we need to define this in this way. And here in this parameter we need to provide the default value. Like what will be the default value for this? So we can provide the default value, okay, and this value basically it will be this one. Okay, this one basically we can put over here. This will be the default URL. Okay, and we can say it's a base URL. Okay, so now this thing is done. Now next basically we need to create one configurations which will basically do the auto configurations for us. Okay, so let me create one configuration kind of thing. So we can say one class over here, custom properties configuration. Okay, so this class basically we need to annotate with auto configurations. Okay, so that it will automatically configure all the things for us. And here we are going to use another properties which will enable the configuration properties. So enable configuration properties, and here basically we need to include this custom properties dot class. Okay, let me save this one. If we click this, not this one, this auto configuration, actually it's doing all the things for us. Okay, now here basically we are going to use these properties for, we can like inject these properties and we can create whatever the bean is basically required for creating this for using this for starter. Basically we can create all the beans over here. Okay, we can create some logger over here. So for logger we can use slf4j log equals to logger factory dot get logger, and over here we can provide this custom properties configuration name dot class. Okay, we can define this as final. Okay, so this log is done. Now over here we can create one constructor for this, and then we can inject as a constructor, inject over for this properties. Okay, we can inject this as properties. Okay, and over here we can put some log.info, and here we can say configuring starter with properties comma properties. We can print this one, okay, and then we can actually basically we need to inject this URL. So before that also we need to create one this like this properties instance over here, custom properties, and then we need to create this properties instance over here, and we need to initialize this properties with this one so that we can inject this one, okay. Okay, this dot, okay, so this is done. Now next basically we are going to create the bin. So for creating the bin basically, as we are going to talk with some external APIs, so for that we need to use some kind of REST client bin. Okay, so for that we need to create the REST client, then REST client over here, REST client dot builder, okay, and here we need to return builder dot, here basically we are going to pass this base URL. So from where we can get the base URL? From this properties, right, dot base URL, okay, and then we need to do the build, okay, and we need to use it as a bin class, bin annotated, so that it will used as a bin. Now basically we need to create one client, and which will basically talk with the external services, right. So here basically we are going to create one client. So as like we are going to talk with these to do services over here, so we can create one client which is related to that. So maybe we can create one class over here, and we can call is custom REST client, okay. So we can't it will be a class over here. Then again we can like create this logger first, static final logger equals to logger factory dot get logger, and here we can print not this properties, custom REST client dot class, okay. Now over here we can defining this private REST client, okay. Now using this constructor over here we can inject this constructor over here. We need to pass this REST client, basically it's a constructor injection, okay. Then this dot REST client equals to this REST client, not this one, okay. Now over here also like we can defining this as some kind of the qualifier, so that whenever we are going to use this one, then we can use as a this qualifier, okay. So how we are going to use this qualifier? Like over here we can put some name over here, like custom REST client, so that using this qualifier basically we can access this REST client from wherever we are going to use this starter project actually. Okay, so next, using this REST client, we can like call some methods over here, like maybe by find all, find by ID. Then it's also having the create method, then update and delete. So here basically I'm not going to use all the methods over here, but 2-3 methods I can use over here. Like first of all, we can find all methods, which will basically return all the to-dos from this service, as you can see over here. Okay, so let create one method which will return all the to-dos list. So to-do class, it will be a list of to-do. Okay, so find, we can say find all. Okay, so what it will return, basically it will return REST client, this REST client dot get. Okay, and we need to pass the URI. So what will be the URI over here? It will be the base URL over there. So only here we need to use this to do's. So we can also check from over here. We are having this base URL. For all, we need to use this one, right? So that's why I'm going to use over here. So this is part of this URI. Then dot retrieve. So it will basically extract the response, and after that we need to pass this as a body. So in the body basically it will be new, we can say parameterized type reference, and here we can provide the angle bracket, then this. Okay, so we need to create this to do. We can create the record over here. Okay, and what variable basically we can keep over here, as you can see over here, it's having this user ID, then ID, then title, and then completed. It will be boolean. So these are the field basically we need to kept over here. So we can create those things over here, like integer user ID, comma integer ID, then string title, then boolean completed. Okay, so these are the basically field. Here is a typo, we need to fix it. Okay, so this to do is ready now. Now as you can see, now we are able to access this one, right? So next basically we can create another method over here, which will basically find by ID. Okay, so over here it will be same, only except find by ID. Okay, so it will return only one, as it is a we can search it with ID, and it will take the input as integer ID, and over here to do, then here basically we need to pass this path variable. Okay, so it will be a path variable. So in this way basically we can pass this one, and here in the body basically we can say it, what it will return, it will return to do dot class. Okay, so in this way basically we can find all, we use this find by ID. Next what you can do, you can like create one to do into this one. So how we are going to do this, as these are the like basically get requests, so you can easily use fetch the data, but now we will we can create the to do. So it will be basically a post request. So how we are going to do this, create, and over here for creating we need like to do object, to do. Then over here we can say return, then rest client dot post, as it is a post request, so that's why we are doing it as a post request. Then we need to pass this URI. Here the URI will be same slash to do's, and after that we need to pass the data in a body like this to do, and then we need to retrieve it for getting the response, and then we need to like say body will be in a body response, we will get to do dot class. Okay, so it will create the to do list for us. Okay, so this is about this like talking with these services. So this is about to like custom REST client. Okay, so the important part of this one, next one actually. So as whenever we are creating any other Spring Boot application basically, so over there we are having the one application methods, means entry class actually. From there basically it is working. So for creating the starter basically we don't need this kind of entry class, so that's why we have deleted this one over here, right? Initially we have deleted. Now the thing is that now the questions can arise like how it will then auto configuration will work, because we have deleted the things, right? So how it will work? So for that we need to create under this resource folder actually we need to create one another folder like this one folder. It's basically meta inf, and then we need to create Spring over there. Basically we need to define, we need to create one file basically. Okay, here we need to create one file. The file name is something like this. Okay, and here what we can define, we need to define this configuration class. Okay, dot starter dot configuration. This configuration class basically we need to define over here. Okay, now now this is done basically. Okay, okay, so now as you can see over here, so this is basically ready now. We can like access it from any other classes after building this one. But now the thing is that like as we don't have any like application class, we are not able to start, so how we are going to test this one, right? So these things can come over here. So how we are going to test this? So for that we can create one like test class over here, like we can maybe reuse this one, so we don't need this. Okay, and here basically we need to use private final application context runner, application context runner. Okay, equals to new application context runner, dot with configuration auto configuration over here, auto configuration dot class, comma, here basically we need to use this custom configuration properties configuration dot class. Okay, this configuration basically we are going to use over here. This is not this one, this will be of REST client auto configuration, comma, this dot class. Okay, so what basically we are going to test over here? Okay, so here basically you can say we can check that particular bin is exist in the over here, as you can see here, REST client, not over here in the configurations we have created this bin, right? Also we need to create another bin over here. I actually forgot to check this one. In configurations we need to create the bin for this particular configurations or particular REST client, right? This REST client. So we need to create this bin over here, custom REST client. Here basically we are going to use this REST client, then return new custom REST client. Okay, so this bin also registered now. Now we can check from this test class, this particular bin is actually exist or not. Okay, so we can check over here. We can put some name for this test, custom REST client bin exist. Okay, should exist. Okay, so how we are going to write this one? So using this context runner we can check run context. Okay, here basically we can check as true. Here context dot contains bin, and here basically we can put the name. So what is the bin name? So bin name is, we have put some bin name, this one, right? So this bin name is exist or not. Also you can check this context bin is having this bin. we can do some change over here, like over here uh, we need to provide some name over here. Okay, like it will be a, we can provide some name like external REST client. Okay, it will be a external REST client, and so here also we need to pass this one, this external REST client. Okay, this one. So over here we need to check these two bin, like this external REST client, that bin should created, and also this custom REST client is also getting created. Now if we run this one as JUnit test, so it should pass. Yeah, it is working fine, right? And also it's pinned this one like these properties with this base URL. Okay, so this is one of the test case. Next, also basically we can also write some other test cases also over here, that also we can like do. So how we are going to write this one, like maybe we can check that has single bin or not, then it's having a base URL or not. If we are like set some different values, then what will be the values for this one. Okay, like as we have defined these properties over here, so instead of this like if we set some defined properties in external dot over here, so how we are going to set over here. So let me write some another test cases over here so that you guys can understand. Void allow to set, allowed to overwrite properties. Okay, so here basically context runner dot with properties values. So the value is that external dot API, then dot base hyphen URL, here basically we need to define this one equals to https slash localhost slash 8080. Okay, this we can define. After that we can run this one. So once we run this one, then we can here what we can check, we can check assert that context dot assert that, okay, context dot has single bean, and over here we can use this custom properties. Okay, next what you can check, assert that context dot get bean custom properties dot class dot base URL dot is equal to slash these values, right? Because we are having some different values, default values actually, but here we have updated this one. Now if we run this one, let me run this one as JUnit. Yeah, two test cases are passed now, right? Because as you can see, previously the base URL is this, but we are having actually updated these values. So this is basically working. Now we need to create this starter, and that will be, we need to build this one so that the starter is created in our M2 folder, and from there we can create another applications. From there we are going to use this starter. Okay, everything is ready now. Now we can just only do the build. So how we are going to build this one? Either like we can from the Maven, like from the CMD we can also do the build, or from here also we can do the build. So let me do the build over here. It will take some time. Yeah, build is done now. Now like if we see the like Maven repository, so over there it is generated. Go through over there. Under this is over here Maven repository. Like we can see here under this com, then Java Tech solution, over here this custom starter, then this. So this is got generated, right? So that means this jar is got generated, this starter is generated now. Now what we can do, we can like we can directly access this starter into another project. So for accessing this one, we can create another project, like maybe the name is the demo project, and then it's having this same Java, then 3 to 4, then Spring to DevTools, and then Spring Boot web dependencies. With that I have generated the another project, demo project, and then I have imported over here. So now, so as the starter is got generated over here, so let me close this all the things so that it will look so his don't confuse anything. Now like everything is fine, then like we can access this particular starter over here. So how we are going to access this one? So let me just use type this one so that it will come over here, like custom starter should come. Yeah, as you can see over here the custom starter like com dot jts dot this one, right? So this is already come over here, and then like the version is this, right? This version we have used. Okay, now we have imported this jar over here so that we can access all the client over here, and we can also able to access those things. So for accessing the like APIs from this starter, we can create one controller over here. So let me create one controller, custom starter controller. Okay, we can annotate with at the rate rest controller over here, then at the rate rest, or we can say request mapping, and we can say it's a slash API. Okay, now here we can like inject the REST client first of all. So our REST client is private static final. So whatever our REST client, like name is the custom REST client, this one, right? So REST client we can do not static, basically we don't need this static. And in constructor basically we can't initialize this one. So here we need to pass this as constructor for injecting this bin over here. This dot REST client equals to REST client. So we have injected the bin now. Now we can create the APIs over here. So what it will return basically? So first of all we need to try to access the find all. So here we can to do okay. So we are also able to access this DTO over here. So we can say find all, then using this REST client dot find all. Okay, we can return from over here, and it's a get mapping. Okay, get mapping over here we can provide some path like slash find all. Next we can create another method which will basically find by like ID. So here basically we can, instead of this find all, we can provide find by ID, and here it is a like path variable. Let us check once over here. It's a path variable, so this also we need to pass over here this ID, and here we need to find by ID, and here we can use this path variable integer ID. Okay, and then find by ID, and here we need to pass this ID. Okay, and instead of list basically it will return only single data as it is a find by ID. Okay, so first of all let us check this one, these two APIs, then maybe we can check the last one. Okay, so for that we need to like start this application. So let us start this application. We can check from the postman. As you can see it is loaded, and it's also properties with this base URL. This also URL we can uh, like we can override, so that I will also show over here. But before that, find all. So it will basically return all the data. As you can see, it's return all the data. Now suppose if we want this ID 10 only, so let me like duplicate this tab, and here instead of this find all, instead of that find by ID slash 10. So it will give us only that record only. Yes, that only, it will return only this record. That means everything is working fine, right? It means we are able to access the data over here. We can't uh, we can't access this kind of APIs over here. Create also work. I'm not trying over here. So regarding the another things, like we can also update the properties over here. So for that, how we are going to update this one? So let me show you how we can do this. Like we need to, how we have set in the test class over here, similar kind of we can mention over here like this dot base hyphen URL. So if we mention like localhost colon 8080, but the issues is that we don't have any such APIs in this particular location, right? So in this scenario basically we'll get some 404 or something related to that. So let me show you. Like if we try this one, it will basically call this one, but we are getting this 500, right? Because we don't have this APIs actually. So that's why we're getting the issues over here, because we don't have those values. Instead of that, what we can do, we can also use this one. Okay, if we use this one, then it should work. This is the base URL. Now if we try, yes, so this is working. So in this way basically it is working. So this is the overall things actually. uh, I will also plan to adding more features to this starter in the future to support all kind of JSON placeholder endpoints. In the meantime, like if you have any queries or any doubts, please let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe my channel. If you like my video, please do press the bell icon. Thanks for watching. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Bye bye.